On the occasion of the 10th anniversary of the Paris Principles and Commitments, France cooperated with UNICEF on February 21st in hosting the International Conference on Protecting Children from War, on the fate of children in armed conflict. The French government condemned the use of child soldiers by Houthi forces in Yemen and called for respecting international law, which bans the recruiting of children in armed conflicts.
The situation is as urgent as ever, it's still there, and we must retake the slogan from 10 years ago, let's protect the children of war. 230 million children live in countries or zones where there is armed conflict. 15 million of them are directly affected by combat. 1.5 million are in risk of dying of hunger if we don't do anything.
According to the UN, children make up a third of the fighters and the armed groups in conflict-wrecked Yemen. The issue has plagued the country throughout various conflicts throughout the decades, but has intensified since the onset of the current conflicts in 2015. Julian Harnais, UNICEF representative in Yemen, said we are seeing children in checkpoints, and UNICEF and its partners had estimated that around 30% of the fighters and the armed groups were minors. As the conflict has intensified more and more, children are being drawn into the battle.
Children do not belong on the battlefield. They belong in school. They belong in safe places where they're loved and protected from the battles that they had no hand in creating. Quite simply, children deserve the quiet blessing of a childhood. Let's work here to provide it.
According to UNICEF, boys younger than 18 form nearly a third of Al-Houthi militias forces, approximately 25,000 fighters. Most are aged between 12 and 17 years.
The Houthis set up local centers where they propose activities like prayers, sermons, conferences, where they really engage those people to take part in the conflict and to join the front line, the combats. Also, what's very important to know is that this war has had a very bad economic impact on most of the families. So this is also why the recruited children are mostly from a very poor environment, from very poor families. Also because they're not going to school anymore, either because there are no schools anymore functioning, or because they can't afford to send their children to schools anymore.
The United Nations verified the recruitment of 106 children in 2013, some as young as 6 years of age. According to the UN, 32 children were seen manning Al-Houthi checkpoints. In many conflicts, children take direct part in combat. However, their role is not limited to fighting. Many girls and boys start out in support functions that also entail great risk and hardships. Farrah ALHashem, KTV2, Paris.